Hey again. So I've been thinking about what to do next, and it seems the most prudent thing to do next would be to kind of finish up the wiring that I had done using the breadboard to connect the Arduino ultimately with the RoboClaw motor controllers. However, before I can actually get to that, it occurs to me that I need to have a sense of where the boards are going to ultimately end up, specifically with the Arduino, so that I know how long the wires need to be before I actually solder them together where they need to be soldered together. And when I reflect back on 2 years ago where I left things off, there was one particular aspect that I remember caused me to change some pins around. And in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not that big a deal in terms of wire length, but I thought I would at least address those couple of functionalities that I had done back then so that at least I'm where I was already. So one of the things that I want to do is actually tackle the sharp IR sensor. So the sharp IR sensor, I've got one mounted on ROVer right now, which is out front. Here, let me show you. So the wiring for the Sharp is actually really basic. It's basically positive 5 volt from the Arduino, or in this case from the breadboard, and a ground also from the Arduino / breadboard, and then a single analog pin from the Arduino. So I'm not going to bother showing you that stuff, but if you have questions about that, just hit me up or hit ROVer up on his site. So the only other thing is to run the kind of test sketch and see how things work, and then we can go from there. Really, I don't know how far I want to take it as far as the sensor at this stage. It's really just more of a figuring out how things connect to one another so that I know more or less how to do the wiring, because I really think that's where I should focus for the time being. So let's take a look at the code. I pulled this down from the Arduino website, so there's nothing particular about it. You just got to specify your sharp IR sensor model number. In my case, this is the value here. And this script, there's a description of it there on the site, and I'll include this in ROVer's site as well. Essentially what this script does is basically takes the average measurement simply to overcome any sort of discrepancies, basically ridiculously high or low values, and trying to get a realistic measure of distance. So what this script does is basically outputs a raw value of what the sensor is actually reporting, as well as a mean distance value, which the script computes in order to get that, like I said, that kind of realistic value. And that's basically it. And we've got this connected for the time being to the analog 0 pin on the Arduino Uno. And let's give it a go and see what happens. I've gone ahead and connected the Arduino to the laptop. So let's go ahead and upload. So we're just waiting here. Yeah, the Arduino is receiving. Let's take a look at the serial monitor. Great, so we're getting some output. I'm sitting in front of ROVer right now, so in front of the sensor. So if I move back away from him, you see the distance value is getting higher, and even farther back. And then if I move closer again, and if I put my hand in front of it, so to get a value of 0, I need to be about, I would say, 3 inches from ROVer. So that's a nice safe distance. So, but in any case, it works. So awesome. Simple, but pretty cool. So yeah, that's one sensor already working, which is pretty awesome. So the other thing that I remember I had working, not that it's remotely important at this point, was were the incoming and outgoing infrared sensors. So basically I had this idea that I wanted to be able to perform some functions on ROVer using an infrared remote. It would be pretty cool, for example, to be able to point even a simple point-and-click remote like the Apple TV remote and be able to trigger some rudimentary functions. So in order to do that, the ROVer would have to basically know what the incoming infrared signal was and then what to do with it. But in order for me to program in the actual remote code, I'd need to be able to somehow read that code. So hence giving ROVer the ability to read as well as send infrared signals. So I thought that would be the next kind of neat new project. So if you're interested in that, follow up for the next video. Until then, cheers!